As the indie game scene matures, it's falling back into those same old AAA patterns of making sequels when they have a hit as the safe bet, but have largely been delivering on that, see Blasphemous 2 for example, so here's another set of sequels to look forward to, beginning with Phantom Rose 2 Sapphire, the follow-up to a very anime roguelite deck builder that was pretty decent, and seems to be largely the same in terms of gameplay. The combat in this is very interesting and is not like Slay the Spire at all, where you're managing card cooldowns and chaining together combos and will be releasing next month.
Super Earth, our home, our way of life. But freedom doesn't come free.
No! Sweet liberty! No!
Look familiar? Scenes like these are happening all over the galaxy right now. And you could be next. That is, unless you make the most important decision of your life. Prove to yourself that you have the strength and the courage to be free.
Join the Helldivers.
This next title is a little bit on the not so indie side since HELLDIVERS 2 is technically from an independent developer, but they have over 60 people on staff and this game is being published by PlayStation, so they certainly have quite the amount of support. Most interestingly, this is a third-person co-op shooter as compared to its top-down original, but still has you blasting away at aliens and bugs. The original game was filled with chaos, since there was friendly fire and you could easily kill your teammates, and that appears to be a returning feature, so you do have to be tactical about your weapon usage. It seems to be going for a little bit of that Starship Troopers vibe with the reveal trailer and plenty of satire, such as the Steam store page, talking about dropping a 500 kg bomb on the enemy swarm in order to liberate them. I did not realize that this is from the same team that made Magicka and the Gauntlet reboot, so the pedigree certainly is there, so I have confidence that this game will turn out well.
Become a hero. Become a legend. Become a Helldiver. Becoming a Helldiver may result in decapitation or mortification. Not all Helldivers survive.
I've covered a number of these games in my weekly newsletter, so if you want to get the heads up, sign up via the link in the description below. Old school indie game fans will remember this title since the original Reus, released about 10 years ago, being a part of the god game genre, which, for you youngsters out there, is one where you have indirect control over your people as compared to direct control like in a real-time strategy game. However, the thing with this game is that you control elemental giants in a side-scrolling fashion, which affects the land and people around them, when the sequel speaks of leaving lasting legacies in the stars and opening up new paths for the next playthrough.
Wake up, sleeper.
I just mentioned recently that Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector was announced, so here it is, and interestingly, it is set in the same universe and where you play as another sleeper, a runaway android with a bounty on your head, no memory of your past, and a malfunctioning body, but you are in a completely new location in this world. The core dice rolling mechanic will be returning, and based on the developer, the writing should be excellent as well, but new in this sequel is that you now have command of your own ship and have to build a life for yourself and your crew among the stars, looking to be a great vector for another great narrative to be told.
Arriving in Hexport with a crippled ship, you'll need to learn to navigate the station, find allies, and go out on contracts if you hope to stay one step ahead of Lane.
This is just the beginning, sleeper.
We are the Order. We are the fallen gods. But we rise again. The time of redemption is here. The time to choose. You either join us, or you run.
I was built to run.
If you couldn't already tell from the opening cinematic, Ghostrunner 2 looks absolutely sick and is the follow-up to a stylish first-person slasher in a cyberpunk world, where you play as a cyber ninja and just go ham on your enemies. This is set 1 year after the events of the first game, where, spoiler alert on the Steam store page, you defeat the bad guy, and now, surprise surprise, a new threat has emerged in the form of a violent AI cult. It gives you more insight into the world of this game and allows you to go beyond the walls of the setting in the first game, but looks to retain that intense, high-speed action and should be excellent as well. I was pleasantly surprised to see Comp 2 show up in my email since the original was a neat idea and could kind of be described as Pong story mode but was from an indie developer, and apparently the sequel has been officially picked up by Modern Atari, who are publishing it, and is a very natural fit with their catalogue. Imagine a Zelda-style action-adventure game where you only have 2 buttons, where pushing one reverses the vertical direction of your ball and you can only go 45 degrees up or down, and the second button is a dash. And combine that with a world with spikes, hazards, puzzles, and even bosses, and you get the idea. The original was super neat, so I'm excited to see how they expand it, and with the blessing of Atari no less, who are turning into a very interesting player in the indie game space. I know that many of you are excited for Streets of Rogue 2, since this long-in-development title is the sequel to one of the most popular indie games, but appears to have been slightly changed in structure. The original was touted as a roguelite, but this sequel now talks about it being more of an immersive open-world sandbox RPG, which I always thought would be better suited for it, since this, in some ways, does resemble a GTA game. There's freedom of exploration and you can pretty much do whatever you want, and with a whole bunch of playable characters, including atypical ones like a gorilla, and you have a formula for success. There's nothing quite like this on the market, with the sequel looking to be much more visually improved, so I expect this game to do gangbusters as well in terms of sales. One of the biggest announcements to come out of Gamescom is the reveal of Grime 2, the follow-up to a unique 2D Souls-like Metroidvania where you play as a living black hole in an atypical world, with the sequel looking to be very much in the same vein down to the character animations. The interesting part of the original was that enemies were made of rock and root, rather than your typical gothic or eldritch horror inspired enemies, with the otherworldly designs truly being something of note. However, instead of a black hole, you are now an art mimic, being able to absorb creatures and to summon molds of their shapes, adding to the gruesome world of Grime, but I expect the more deliberate combat and parry focus to still be a thing. This is an amazing example of a way to do a Metroidvania while still being unique, so certainly drop this a wishlist. Singaporean developer The Gentle Bros, to my knowledge, is just a 3-person team, and they have hit the jackpot with Cat Quest, an action-venture RPG that stars adorable felines and is good, and are going ahead with Cat Quest 3. However, this time it has a pirate theme. We are taking on pirates in the Caribbean. There's all your typical pirate stuff like digging for treasure and even ship and naval combat, looking to be kind of like Assassin's Creed Black Flag but retaining the signature action of the series, and should be another great entry. Curiously, the spell-slinging roguelite returns in Wizard of Legend 2, shedding its pixel art for a 3D look, which I'm not really a fan of, but interestingly, it is not from the same developers, but rather is being made by Dead Mage, the people that made Children of Mortar, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and you can find more upcoming sequels in this video.